Hi, everyone. My name is Rose Anguiano Hurst, and I'm the Executive Director at Women's Enterprise Skills Training of Windsor, Inc., located in Windsor, Ontario. Today, I have the honor of doing my part in helping tell stories of fabulous people that made an impact in the community and around Canada. So I've had the pleasure of meeting so many amazing women throughout my career, especially during my 25-year career at Women's Enterprise Skills Training. Today, I get the pleasure of sharing her with all of you. I've learned so much from her. She is definitely a leader and a role model for many. And you're going to get a chance to take part of to see a glimpse of the journey of her life that's inspired me so much. Welcome, Sheila Barker. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Rose, and it's wonderful. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm always happy to talk with you because we worked so well together in the past and continue on.
Great, great. So, Sheila Barker, I know you've had a role in the development of the West organization in the mid 80s, and then we were subsequently incorporated in 1987. And what an amazing mission statement you and other community members developed to help create the West organization, recognizing needs of the unemployed, especially when it came to women, and the special and unique needs that visible minority women, women from racialized communities, and newcomer women faced. So, can you tell me about that? And then I also would like you to share when I first met you, you returned to Windsor. It was around 1998. And tell me a little bit about what inspired you to want to return to the West Board of Directors.
Well, that's an easy question, Rose. I have always, in fact, as I say, when West was founded, I was certainly a shadow with all your founders. They saw me quite frequently, and I was very impressed with the empowerment angle with this newcomer base agency that West is, because I really feel that women, newcomers to this country, are courageous and that they have taken a really big risk. So coming into our organization, West, it was just an ideal place to nurture and bring women into the empowerment and into success. Our programs see to that, and it's just like a family. I find the West organization outstanding, and your stewardship is wonderful. I think when we met, we just clicked, and we don't agree on every single thing, but we certainly found ways to work beautifully together. And you've just never disappointed me in your leadership and your structure with women, and it's just like a big family, which is wonderful. But we get the work done, and what was wonderful as a board of director was that whenever I traveled out in service for our boards or to represent West across Canada, I was told, certainly by many of our sponsors and our financiers, that if they wanted to get something done, they called Rose Hurst at West. And that was the most wonderful accolade for us all. So I've kept on with West. I've been president and vice president and wandering through, but I just feel that you really give to the community, and they love you, Rose, because you are generous and absolutely professional and caring. So I think those qualities are wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, Sheila, you've never been in the shadows. You have a seat at the table as a founder of the West organization, and your leadership continues to inspire so many. I know you were recognized a couple of years ago as one of the 100 Black Canadian women. So, what a wonderful honor to have you recognized and that you're part of our organization. So thank you so much. So as we continue on with the interview, I know I wanted to talk a little bit about your early life, what helped shape you. And I know you have some great recollections about your grandfather. I think early experiences in our childhood really do help shape who we become as we grow and continue in our professional careers. Can you share a little bit about your grandfather
Well,
for us?
my mother and father, well, I'm from Jamaica, a third world country. And so my mother and father were away at university, and my grandparents raised me and my sister. And it was quite a journey. My grandmother was very scriptural. Church was a big thing in our life. The town we lived in, a rural town, and my sister, my older sister by 11 months, was always ill. So I was with my grandfather on the farm with the chickens and the cows. Every cow had a name, every chicken had a name. We wouldn't eat them if they were cooked and killed. And so I had a very strong personality, which my grandfather loved. So we were very close. So the walks into town, my grandfather was sort of uh, owner of a farm, so a lot of people worked there, and he would go in for his little trip to town, take me in. And even in those days, as I was a young 6, 7 year old, he was um, he wondered about the woods and like cutting down trees. He did not approve of that, and the town considered him an elder. It wasn't called like a city council or a county council. It was just they called the elders to make decisions about the town. And he said he would just take me into town and put me on counters and say, "This is my granddaughter. She's going to be anything she wants. Just give her what she wants." And he taught me from then that I was going to be somebody. So it was a little message that he just felt we had to work harder to get there. And I remember he was about 6'5", 6 feet 5 inches, and my fist went around in his hand. There was so much space, and he was very tall. And so we would look after the cows and the chickens, and my grandmother would help too. And he made butter, and he played the violin. He taught himself the violin. And so we had to have prayers every night. So that was my beginning.
That's great. I think hearing those messages of working hard, seeing it by example, always having
Absolutely.
positive reinforcement really, really means a lot to so many people. Even now in today's age, we hear it all the time about the positive affirmation, statement of affirmation. So I think that really helped shape you and help you become who I know you to be today. And as I continue on with our conversation here, I would also like to acknowledge that I know you've had a really vast and inspiring career. You started off as a nurse, and then you've also worked in policing and in public service. You've done some work with human rights, but you've never forgotten your commitment to the community. So I want people to know that you've had an amazing career in each of those, I believe, intersections in your past as you've moved throughout your career and your life. You've never forgotten your commitment to the community, and you know that it's important. It's your responsibility, like it's now my responsibility to be a leader and a role model for so many. So I do want to acknowledge that and thank you so much for everything that I know you do and that you will always continue to do. So I know we in this case we want to talk about transitions from powerlessness to power, from people being unemployed to being able to thrive and succeed and have employment opportunities where they can now be contributing members of the community, participate economic, socially, and politically. Like that's also important. That's all part of the comprehensive package that and how we want to inspire people. I know along the way you've had to maybe self-advocate for yourself in cases of employment and rights in the workplace. And those are still issues that impact so many people, especially the people that we work with at West. Do you have any stories or insights you'd like to share about that?
Yes, I do, Rose. And it's a lovely segue in. Thank you so much for that. But I feel that my grandparents felt that we had to give back. And that's the community part of me that you see, that it's ongoing. There are always people that need help, that you should know a little bit more about things. My grandfather, people in our town who couldn't read would come to him to help, to read their prescriptions. They didn't even know what it was, and he would explain. So we had that. And then the church was a big thing too, where you went into groups to do youth activities, to do get people together, visit the sick. So that's a big thing. And as I grew and had to attend school and secondary education, as we know, women were pretty well always treated differently. So I think it was very easy for me to come into gender equity. And I know that, the United Nations around the 2000s there, 1998, 2000, the big word was gender equity. And and as I read a little bit about that, it just meant at that time that women should be treated the same as men. But we have now sort of moved along. I think that the formula for gender equity, it's very binary, equal men and women. And I think we have taken some steps there. But gender equity is almost the beginning towards gender equality, which I see that gender is almost different from the word sex. Gender is a structural and social construct. And I think that we can add to gender equity to make it more just and equitable. We need to come into, and the people who are usually disadvantaged are the women. So what we're looking for women now is, as you said, empowerment, which is what West certainly does very well. And we want more access to opportunity. We would like access to decision making. So this, we're moving now from the equity, men and women equal, to adding a little more into the cake. So we're looking for all the just and equitable ideas, and we empower women. And I was speaking to you long ago when I went to work for the Solicitor General. I had the background of human rights. I was a human rights officer. I was a labor relations officer. I was a race relations officer. And I was in community and social services. And all the police inspectors, 8 of them, I was the 9th. It was a new area for me because these positions went to chiefs of police and deputies. And I realized that I was making less money than they were, but I was instructing my 8 colleagues in different aspects of the workplace. Mm-hmm. And so I did follow up on that. I explained to my, my director that I felt that I was sort of on an hourly rate and everybody else was, per annum. So I spoke to him and told him just a little bit about my background and reminded him, and that was rectified. They looked at the gender equity that I then, every other advisor had a car. So I got the car because that was what we had to do, look into police services. So I got the car, I got the keys, I got the gas card, and had to make decisions. I then was given an area of the province, and I was responsible for 70 police services there, like my male colleagues. And I had to make decisions for them and help them to understand their Police Services Act. So I had to become a specialist knowing the act, because many of the chiefs, unfortunately, didn't know it as well. They were not readers. And so it worked out really well, because I had that not just equal to men, but that I had the same access to opportunity within my group, access to decision making, and putting forward ideas to make our community more just and equitable. It was really a very good experience.
Great. That is a wonderful lesson on self-advocacy, speaking up for yourself, knowing your rights in the workplace. And, it's a really wonderful comment on not only gender equity, but gender equality. And
Absolutely.
I would like to just recant a story. When I attended a community event with you, when I believe it was Chief Glenn Stannard had retired, and it was the hugest event I've ever attended at St. Clair Center for the Arts. How amazing. So many police chiefs were approaching you. Wow, I was with a celebrity that night. I was just so impressed. Total respect they showed you. That was just really amazing.
Really
So,
good.
once again, thank you so much for your leadership.
I'm still in touch with them, Rose, and it was wonderful. You said you were going to introduce me to a few people in the community. We look back and
I've
have a
done
good
that to other
chuckle.
people too. Yeah, they're like, what?
That was a good
What are you
experience,
talking
Rose.
about?
And that brings me also to the collective agreement. I also, in nursing, liked to do things. So I was a president of the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario.
Oh,
Helped them to buy our place in Toronto, 33 Price Street. You and I have passed there and journeyed past there. And then I became president of the Ontario Nurses Association, because I had to write a motion, because our professional association did not wish to bargain for nurses. So my motion with one of the university professors was the motion that created the Ontario Nurses Association to do the bargaining. So I was president of that. So I understood collective agreements. I could, the police chiefs did not understand totally. I mean, they um, were happy to have my expertise in labor relations and in just following through on that. So I had the two sides of that, being a worker, what we needed to work in the workplace, and why it was important. And so the chiefs were very happy. And what I say to our women and people in the workplace, learn the job, learn other people's jobs, so you really can assist and give to this, make it a better place to work. That's what we try to do.
great. Okay, I also think that's a great story how each position maybe prepared you for your subsequent position, and that, like you just said, what you didn't know you learned. So many great opportunities that you had. Once again, I believe they've shaped you to the woman that I know, that I lean towards, and I count on the support and the mentorship. So I've been at West for 25 years, and I believe I mentioned earlier, I believe I first met you around 1998. And at that time, the organization was still quite small. Maybe we had 7 staff at that time.
Yes.
And now, of course, we have 50 staff.
Mhm.
So certainly we had gone through the changes of growing from a working board where the board had a hand in every decision related to the organization to more of a governance board where the board directed the employee of the organization, which is me, on my responsibilities, my limits of authority. I think you played a really strong role in getting us to that place where we are now. It's quite different. And I understand that when an organization is new, there's lots more hands on. And we were probably struggling a little bit at that time to go from a working board to the governance model. So I really appreciate your leadership in that regard. Do you want to talk a little bit about board governance?
Yes. Well, I think our board certainly is one of is the top board in Windsor. That's my feeling, of
I
course.
love it
A
too.
little biased, but governance is so important because once again, it's a level where we deal with the agency and usually the executive director in the not-for-profit agencies, a
Right.
sort of underpaid group because, once again, it's usually women, and we have to keep this in mind. But I've been in other boards that are not-for-profit, which gave me a lot of insight into how I could help with our newcomer agency and with you. And certainly we uh, love the work that the board carries on. We are, as far as I'm concerned, in governance, the boards, unless it's a very different board, usually in the not-for-profit agencies, we are priority. We do policies and procedures. We support the executive director or the CEO of the organization, and the CEO and any upper staff, the CEO is our employee.
That's right. Uh-huh.
So we feel that we have to have that relationship with our executive director so that, and you've been just wonderful in terms of looking for new things, writing proposals, um, trying to get new programs that support the women that we have in our agencies. We have childcare, and you bring us that, and because we interact, the executive director and I, you will tell us also how this organization works, the collective agreement. We don't have one, but we have policies and procedures that have to
Right.
come into place so that the workplace within the four walls, you are the top of the triangle. And so if there are problems there, you bring it to the board, and in terms of a policy and a procedure, we back you. We check them out because we're in other areas that we have to have policy and procedure. Those are written, they are documented, they are right on hand. New staff get the package, new board members get a package to tell us about our agency, your expectations and our expectations. And that has been very clear with you, Rose. The board, we've really moved getting more programs, giving this community, keeping an ear out for not just women in the community, but literacy, how to manage finances, and because we have now COVID, that sort of has knocked our agencies to a little bit. It's knocked our whole community, the COVID-19. So we are the people, the first responders, so to speak, to the newcomers that come. And I feel that that service that you give, it's complementary because at the same time, women are the people that are mostly affected by any things that are not relevant there. So I think that as a board, we do, you've seen to it that we have education. You've given us information, asked the board to update on this. We have rules of order that happen. And it's been just a really learning experience, Rose, and you're just a perfect leader for that. You give the board so much, and you tap us where our expertise is. So I really appreciated that from you, and find that you're excellent at that, and that has made us grow into having 50 now staff.
Yes, from 70 staff to 50
Congratulations.
staff. Right.
Yes, and 25 years is
Yeah.
really quite a mark. I thank you
Okay.
on behalf of our board.
Okay. I know you keep saying nice things about me. Thank you so much. But really, I wouldn't have the confidence or the flexibility and the latitude to help move the organization forward if I didn't have leadership and support from people like you. And as we grow our board and bring in new community members, it may be their first time on a board. So it's your experience and your abilities to help guide and again mentor like newer board members that really is so important. You know, you have a legacy with the West organization for sure.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Rose. It's just good to know. And I stopped getting the mail after being president. I'm now 2 presidents back, and I do miss that. But I really, and I think we should share that we don't agree on every single thing, but on
Right.
important things to you, it's 100% support, because I know the role and the work you do. Sometimes it has to be uno a uno, because I'm very close to you. We talk 5 times a day or more,
That's right.
and sometimes our board. And there are times when I think the board thought that maybe they were left out, but there were reasons for this. And sometimes we just need to give that support to the close work of the president and the ED. But we should just share to people that the wonderful thing was that when we disagreed, Rose, we came back to what I consider like sort of a roadway that I considered the road of compromise. So you would come
Yeah,
back to me, and I would come back to you, and we always seem to resolve it. On that
that's
stretch of
great.
compromise, you said, well, then we can do this, and we can give this up. So disagreeing and not accepting is okay, because we became faster friends and workmates through me having your opinion, and I know Rose isn't going to go for that, and that's a good place to be.
Great. There's something that you've said time and time again where I've needed assistance and support to work through a situation that the organization may have been facing. And it was that there's no problem that can't be solved. And I often repeat that as
Absolutely, Rose.
on a day-to-day basis when we're facing a certain issue. I'm always looking at the bigger picture and the high road. How can we get through this? What are the options? And I really appreciate getting to know you at that level. And wow, yeah, it really changed my abilities to do what I wanted to do, what I think the organization needed to do, and to help us do what we're doing right now. So
Well, that's
they were all great lessons. Thank you.
you taught me to be your mentor.
Absolutely. That's
You,
my next point I wanted to
yeah.
talk about.
Well,
Mentorship.
you came right into mentorship, because you
That's
told me
great.
what you needed, and it was just a great feeling that I could give you that with unconditional response. And one of the things that I do love about you is that I taught you to be really Machiavellian. I didn't see enough of that happening. There has to be a time when enough's enough. And so you and I love that. It's sort of our kind of model, like, no, there's no problem that cannot be solved.
That's right.
And but yet we have to do that compromise dance, and we also have to really build on that compromise. It's been a wonderful experience for me, Rose, and you really became very Machiavellian, and so you graduated.
In a good way.
Yes, you graduated. And so that was good. So it's just a pleasure. You're one of my examples in speaking to groups of women all over Canada, of course. But you're one of my examples of how well we work together, not in a smarmy way, but in a way that we both grew. I look back at that with love, and of course, I can't leave the board, it seems. So
No, you cannot.
I'm not going to be released into the wild.
No, 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 not at all.
So,
I
it's been
would also
wonderful.
just like to mention along with you, I've got to meet some of Canada's leaders, like Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine. What an honor. I got to meet her through relationships you had with her, and of course, our dearly departed Daphne Clark. So
Live,
I can be
live,
at anywhere in the country, and if Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine is there, she's always so kind and gracious and
loves
just
you.
wonderful.
She
So
loves you.
where else does someone from Windsor, Ontario get to meet national Canadian movers and shakers? So
Well,
thank you for those opportunities as well.
well, I look forward to meeting with them all. Daphne Clark was wonderful, a
Yeah.
founder and just a real icon in the community. She was everywhere. And so we're blessed to know her. And we are Dr. Jean Augustine and her group,
Yeah.
and you and I are lives well lived.
Lives well lived.
Yes.
I hope that I have the ability to mentor people that come through our organization, offer a positive,
You
myself as a
do.
positive role model on what we can be, what everything Canada has to offer. At the West organization, we do try and be positive and optimistic. We
Well,
do
you
expect
are.
people to work hard, and we
I
try and
do.
let them know the realities of the expectations in the workplace. So thank you for everything you do, Sheila.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Rose. Anytime.
Okay, do you have any closing comments or anything?
Well, I just feel that we should go forward, that we should keep moving on, still fighting, um, connecting the empowerment, the gender equality with empowerment of women into autonomy and decision making, both in our private lives and our public lives. I think
And
that
they often cross over.
they do cross over with women
Uh-huh.
because we are multitaskers, and it crosses over, and these uh, principles that you and I've discussed, of there's no problem that cannot be solved, that we should go forward and support courageous women who want to build a new life. There's so much there to do. So I think that we just have to keep going forward. And as
Keep
Maya Angelou,
moving forward.
yes, keep
I'm
moving forward.
sorry. And as Maya Angelou said,
And as
please finish your quote.
As Maya Angelou says, that when we get knocked down, it's how we get up that
That's right.
matters. So
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
people who have made the big decision, so courageous to come from a land where they don't speak English and have no idea, that our job is to help them with the empowerment and the integration into
That's
this
right.
new life.
Hey, Sheila, I would just like to say thank you so much for sharing your time and your life experiences and your involvement with West and your amazing stories that all impact our ability, as you said, to keep moving forward. So Thank you so, so much. This will be posted on our website and through social media accounts. And this was all, we were able to do this through a really generous grant from the federal government administered by the Windsor Essex Community Foundation. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rose. Anytime.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Donia.